the inaugural show of Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham. My first guest is my brother, Shane, and of course I have in the studio with me my wonderful wife, Janet, who is also the producer.
It's important for us as parents to not teach our kids that you have to clean your plate up. I mean, eat until you're full. Either it's wasted in the garbage can or it's wasted around our waist.
And I argue this about depression all the time. The best antidepressant ever invented. I'm going to put you on the spot, Kelly. What's the best antidepressant ever invented?
There's a tie, but exercise.
There it is. Boom. Look at what a veterinarian does. When they see a cow, a horse, or a dog, they know when they're sick right away. And they don't have to take any blood work. They don't have to do any MRIs, any CAT scans, any ultrasounds. They just look at them and say, hey, this dog is sick. And what's the first thing they say, Janet? What do they ask?
Well, they ask, what are you feeding
your
animal?
What are you feeding your animal? So it matters.
Even in pharmacy, like some of the breakthroughs that we had and still have available to us, actually in the natural form, we're actually healthier. So Shawn's talked about white willow bark for fevers. And we don't have the bleeding side effects from that as we do with aspirin. So there's so many things that got lost in that transition of using something that was used for centuries without any harm to somebody. And then now we have this because now we have side effects from, too much aspirin causes GI bleed. There's really a sad thing that happened when we went to that standardization.
Janet, you highlighted something very profound that I want to pick up on. The idea of willow bark. Well, what is willow bark? It is a complex combination of molecules nature combined into something.
Right.
What pharmaceutical did was say there's one molecule. There's something in this plant, and we got to figure out what the key and so-called active ingredient is, and we have to extract it, concentrate it, and put that molecule in the body. That's why all these drugs have side effects, because nature would never package something that way.
You tell me a culture that survived on plants alone. I'm waiting. I mean, seriously. Now, I will tell you a culture that survived on mostly animal-based products. Look at anybody in northern latitudes. Scandinavians, did they have a lot of greens? Did they have a lot of salad? Did they have a lot of spinach? Probably not. My wife would argue, is much smarter than me. She would argue that they did because of trading, that there was somebody that probably traded with them and gave them some kind of plants or fruits. Mostly meat, because that's what they had.
You were saying all of the things that are just so important for people to hear.
Limitless Lindy out of Australia. She was a patient that was 700 pounds, I believe.
She was actually up to 800 pounds at one point.
And she went carnivore and she's lost 600 pounds.
She tried everything, vegan diets, juicing, Weight Watchers. She was a food addict. I mean, she could not stop, no matter what, she could not stop. She ended up going carnivore. She's lost nearly 500 pounds. The really interesting point was she said she was a food addict. And when she went carnivore, she finally found what she called was the off switch. Like she'd never been able to turn off the intrusive desires and cravings and thoughts around food. And finally, it went silent for us.
I just want to share this message. I want to reach other 600, 700, 800 pounders and show them that this can be done. There is an out, and whether it be keto or carnivore, you can do this.
Here's the thing about carnivore. It's especially red meat. There is hardly anybody that's allergic to red meat. And if they are, there's a bigger issue going on. It's very, very, very rare. So, and there's a lot of vegetables and fruits that people can't tolerate, but almost everybody can tolerate red meat. So go carnivore and many things can go away. You don't need some fancy drug. Believe me, if you've got some kind of bowel problem, you don't need some fancy drug. Go carnivore. And if we are not honest with people, and that includes many people that seek health care, where most of their problems are caused by lifestyle disease, if we're not honest with them, we are not doing them no favors by just giving them another drug and saying, oh, it's okay, and love your body. And the most dangerous thing we can do as Americans is to be overweight. Cardiovascular disease from being obese causes more deaths than anything in America, period. Car wrecks, cancers, all that. So that's why I preach it. From your last episode on Joe Rogan, if there was one segment out of there that you could take away that you could give us today, what would that be?
The realization of how they're kind of habituating us into accepting ultra-processed food as healthy, natural food. That you can consume a diet that is 91% ultra processed and still meet the healthy guidelines. I mean, to me, that's just absurd that we would be even considering that. And you know, and we see physicians out there that are like, well, these ultra processed foods are the reality, and we need to just accept it and suck it up and just shut up and take your drugs and eat your crap. I mean, it's more of the same stuff. So I think that's really eye-opening as to where we're going, because I can't think of anybody that would actually say this highly processed stuff that you know might have 27 ingredients, half of which I can't pronounce, are now supposed to be what I'm supposed to be eating. It doesn't make any sense. So I know there was a segment where Joe was reading from the study directly, and he was kind of blown away.
I remember watching that part too and just going, oh my gosh, it is incredible to think that that is what's going to make somebody healthy. Unbelievable.
If you are going to a traditional doctor that takes your insurance, they don't work for you. They work for the insurance company, period. And the insurance company tells them exactly what you get, whether it be medication, whether it be surgery, whether it be imaging. The doctor is controlled by the insurance company, and that's who they work for, because that's who pays them. So if you want to get the best care and you want to dictate that along with your doctor, then the only way to do that is pay directly without your insurance. Otherwise, the insurance company is controlling your health care. I personally don't like being controlled by anybody or anything. I definitely wouldn't want an employer or an insurance company dictating my health.
We were comfortable, but we weren't happy. We listened to how these medical doctors, you know, reached out of their comfort zone and actually got to their clients, whether it meant that they treated somebody in their car or they treated somebody in their home. I mean, how care looks to different individuals that are giving healthcare is totally different. So for Shawn and I, it was super important that we actually encourage wellness, because we felt like the model, and the model still today, does not appreciate the fact that individuals can actually make decisions on making healthy choices, because food, rest, exercise are medicine to our body. And for whatever reason, we think that drugs are the only answer. Pill for every ill, which actually is just false. It's not true.
We are going on our 500th episode here, and we are super excited to be educating and empowering individuals all over the world. That's been our goal with this podcast, and we'll continue to do so.